Now to make the candy stripe. This one is one of my favorites. We're still using the same 4 colors as in the last video, but a new piece of string just to show you how it's done. Got my knot, and like I said, I'm taping mine down so that it is a little easier to see and to work with in the video. Let's make sure you can see it. I've also zoomed in a bit because I want to make sure that you can really see how these knots make the pattern. Alright, here's what is different. Last time we started with all of them together. In braiding we started with them separated. You're going to do that again. Like the different braids, whatever color you put to your most left is the first in your bracelet, then the second color, third color, and fourth color. How you hold this, I think, is really important and helps a lot. When you're first learning, don't worry about it. On that first bracelet, it's all about how you tie the knots and what you're doing. As you get faster, it really becomes about holding as many strings as you can and tying your knots with your dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so I'll tie my knots with my right hand. I'm going to take it slow at the beginning and then show you how I hold it later. Just come back to that part of the video when you feel comfortable. For now, don't worry about how you hold it so much as how you tie the knots. I would imagine this being like tying 2 little of the spiral or 2 little stair knots and then switching colors, 2 little stair knots and 2 little stair knots. Then at the end, the string you've taken across becomes a part of the line, and the new color is the one on the farthest left. So it'll become clear as I work, but I want to give you that little preview. So I take my blue string. This is the one we're tying knots. This is the color I want to show. This is the one that doesn't show. It's the second one in line. I hold it straight, kind of straight. Remember, don't pull too hard. Yeah, these strings are in the way, but I'm not worried about them right now. And I make the 4. The 4 is what shows. Pull it through and slide it up. That's 1. I need a second one. 4. Ooh, I missed. Pull it through. Slide it up. That's 2. That's all I need to do now. I let go of this white one, and it is the next one in line. It goes all the way over. The second color I put was the green. So I'm going to grab green. Yellow just hangs out over here and waits. Take this guy, hold it straight. This is my color. I make a 4, pull it through, and pull it tight. You'll notice that this second knot will be a tiny bit lower than the first one, and as you keep going, that's how it becomes a diagonal line instead of a straight across line. The knots just don't really make a straight across line. And here's the second knot. So now I have 2 knots. Put this one aside. He's second in line. Grab my third color, yellow. I make my 4. Pull it tight and come down. Now let's talk about one thing. When I pull it up tight this time, I want to make sure it's snug next to its buddy. If I'm pulling it tight, but my strings have this much of a gap, my knot is going to have that much of a gap too, and it has holes in the bracelet. Kind of the way if the braid was too loose, it'll have little holes. So make sure that you're also pulling it snug next to the last knot that was tied. Just that little bit of change really makes it look great. And here's my second knot. Now this becomes that number 4 string, and this is my new number 1. I'm going to pick it up and do the same thing. I make my 4, pull it through, slide it up. Now I don't want the green to show. You can still see a little bit of it, so I've got to bring it snug up to the top. And my second knot. Bring it up snug to the top. That's 2. Now my blue string is a little fatter. This guy's a little skinnier, but it should work out just fine because as long as you're doing 2 knots, they should match up. Now I go ahead to the second string, is now the orange. I make my 4, and I pull it through and slide it up. Make sure they're pulling snug. I would say the second row might be the trickiest because you really want everything snug. And there's my second knot. Move them all over. And now I'm on the blue. Make my 4, pull it through. 1, maybe a little tighter even. And number 2. this one is my next color. I'm going to stop narrating and just go for it. Let's get all the way to yellow before I show you the other way to hold it. The same issue might happen when you are working on this as when you were doing the spiral, where you might pull the wrong way or pull too tight and all of a sudden this one flips. I don't want white to show, that messes up my stripe, so I pull down, pull the color you don't want to show straight. I sometimes give it a little nudge too. And then it should be fine. Making sure it's up high, and I make my 4. This string still stays straight, and there it goes. And the last one is the yellow. He's my new number 1. I make the 4, pull it up, 1, 2. Make a 4, pull it through, 1, 2. Now I go all the way on that color I just did a row of, 1, 2. And that is how you get those diagonal stripes. We call it candy stripe. Reminds me of like a candy cane or a peppermint style. Now, if you've made this and you've got how to tie the knots and you want to go a little faster, here's how I hold it. I put 2 colors in what I keep calling the big pinchers right here with my thumb and index finger. They're where I work the fastest. The second string goes between those 2 fingers, right to the middle, here to the middle, and this one goes here to the middle. Now I've got all these, they're still spread out in one hand, and with this hand I take only the color I want to show, and I keep holding them. I make my 4. You have to be a little closer to the top. 1, 2. Now it's hard for me to hold it here, so I switched my pinchers here. See, I just moved it from here 1 string over. I didn't let go of this gray, I just left it there. It's hanging out. 1, 2, and then I do the same thing here. Let it go, switch it to the big pinchers, 1 and 2. And this is how I go when I'm really just working on my own. It goes a lot faster. And when you start getting that fast, you're going to be ready for the next one, which is that chevron. It looks like a V, so maybe you want to call it the V one. But yeah, going all the way to the bottom. Just like this. So I hope you're getting the hang of it. The back of the candy stripe looks like this. It's kind of flat and has more like, I always think of them as like a snaky line. You can see kind of lines going the opposite of the colors. And that's how you can tell the back from the front. The front has all these little bumps, all those little staircases. And it just kind of pops a little bit more. Don't worry too much. The only reason I explain it is, say I took this work home and I hadn't looked at it, and when I take it out of my backpack it's this direction. Well, if I start working this way, first of all, it looks a little messy, so I should be like, oh no, that looks bad. But if I start doing this, I'm going the wrong way, and that angle it makes means it's getting all twisted and it's doing all kinds of stuff, and all of a sudden now I've done a green row and then on the back another green row, and you might say, what? What is? I thought my next color was orange after green. If this happens, that's okay on your first one, but on other ones, if you'd like to fix it, you just have to go back here with careful little fingers, and I untie the loop, loosen it up, and undo it. And it takes a long time, so I'd recommend really paying attention if you've taken it home to which is the front and which is the back. But you can go all the way back. Like this blue one's even already popped the wrong color. It's not a huge deal, just make sure you know the difference between the front and the back if you're going to stop working for a while and transition to another room or another space, or even just take like a 10-minute break, stretch out your hands and things. It does get a little tangly at the bottom, so be careful when you're undoing things. But yeah, it's totally fixable. We all make mistakes, it's not a big deal. It just slows you down a bit. Now it doesn't even look wrong, I just know it is, because I don't need 3 knots back there. And I would say once you've undone a row, see how gappy that is? It's got that bad back. I'd give it a little push and tighten that last string. Now I know this is the front, and I go with orange should be my first color, because after green comes that yellow-orange. All right, you guys, good luck. If any other problems come up, feel free to let me know, and I'll try and help you out with them.